questions piled up.
Robert.
You said goodbye?
No, our question. Robert.
What's up, buddy? Talk to me.
So much talk about the unconscious mind. Where is it? And where are our thoughts?
Guys, sit back, relax. Throw all these questions. You know them.
I've been thinking about this a lot. I went deep into your latest creation every day, and this weekend I had some serious questions about the unconscious mind and the subject of who am I, as in this conscious awareness. Like, we're not our bodies, we aren't our names, we aren't this. The body is nothing without I, right? When you die, the consciousness continues. I've been doing a lot of like watching some cool stuff on Gaia as well. So understanding the I, our consciousness, essentially, if we can call it that, or whatever it is, and then where are these two minds, the conscious mind and the unconscious mind? Is the unconscious mind in the limbic brain, or is it outside of us in the ether? And it's all connected as we know. So where is it? And will we ever be able to measure it and see it?
Here's the thing. I just looked at the clock and I'm like, okay, we have kind of half an hour time in terms of time, or what we consider a decent call here. You know, it's supposed to be an hour long, but it's always 2 hours, and we're cool with that, you know. So I'm glad you didn't ask me this at like 10:02, you know, at least we have a bit longer. And I can't exactly say it's enough time for us to discuss such topic. But dude, it's also unfair that you always have those really awesome deep questions, and I postpone them for later because other people have some other stuff, you know. So let's talk about this. I don't know how long it takes. Let's see where the conversation takes us, because it really is a conversation. From scientific perspective, I've got at least 2 models that are plausible, like in terms of where is it, because your question is very specific in terms of where is this thing, where is conscious, where is unconscious, and I'm like, hey, as usual, any one of those deeper questions for me, it's like, on what level are we now? Where are we discussing it from which point of view? Because I can go certain type of science, other type of science. I can go from spiritual perspective. Like, dude, like, it's a very complex question. Actually, it sounds so simple. So let's just start unpacking it. Right. From the scientific perspective, you may go with the story that it's the frontal lobe of ours, in terms of our brains as a human brain, that separates us big time from the rest of the animal kingdom, right? In other words, you still have this, what they call the reptilian brain, the old brain, right? And that's what you would link here in our conversation to unconscious, meaning living like an unconscious creature, just habitually, or should I say, however you were wired by nature, instinctively, you know, like instincts, you know, to think of a dog, a wolf, I mean, bless them. Sometimes I use zebras for my metaphors. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those, but you know, like when we talk about stress, zebra is not, right? Zebra is chowing some grass on the field, and it's really living in the now. You know, like a crocodile, another animal, lies there on the shore, mouth open like this, and it's like, and it's living in the moment. There's no past, there's no future. It's just sitting there. That's proper living in the now, by the way. Okay? That's that, should I say, instinctive, or by default, by nature, by wiring, however you want to call it, by default. Or just because I'm going to try linking all those planes for you today. This is the state unspoiled by thinking. More on that later. So, zebra chows food, you know, it eats grass, and it's not stressing until it notices a lion that's, you know, tracking her, right? It sees the danger, a cat like that, big threat to her life. All stress hormones instantly released by her reptilian brain, released into the bloodstream. You know how that goes. All the energy goes to extremities, runs for her life, right? It's not gonna fight the lion, it's gonna run. It's gonna stress and run for her life. Fear will overcome her, right? Which is in this case good for her. Fighting the lion, odds are against her, right? So how long is the stress gonna last? Until it runs far enough over a river, I don't know, until there's no trace of lion. So the moment this zebra realizes it lost the lion, it outran the lion, whatever, lion gave up, doesn't matter. The moment, in that instant when lion is nowhere to be seen, guess what happens with the nervous system of the zebra? Stress switches off, all those hormones stop being released, back into the growth mode. Oh, grass. Just carries on eating grass. Doesn't go like, oh shit, I nearly died. You know, it doesn't go and stress about all of that past. And if another zebra comes along, and now I'm taking it like this, I'm mind reading zebras, okay? I'm taking it too far. But if another zebra just showed up, so hey, how are you? How you doing, you zebra-looking thing? It won't say, oh, dude, you don't understand. I just ran away from lion. No, nice grass, meow meow. They don't get to live in the past. They don't get to bring past with them in this moment and kind of improve it or spoil it. Animals tend to live in the present moment. Okay, now what separates us, scientifically speaking, from the rest of the animal kingdom is that our proportion of the frontal lobe to the normal reptilian brain. Okay, our frontal lobe is dramatically bigger percentage-wise comparing to all the other animals. So scientists are giving credit to our intelligence, or should I say newfound intelligence, to that area of your brain. So when you're asking me conscious, unconscious, where is it in the brain? It's almost a wrong question. I don't prefer giving it a place like that. And you'll see in a moment why, because I'm trying to simplify something that's super complex and it's not a finished story. Okay, because we could, with one scientific model, we could go, okay, conscious mind, reasoning, thinking about life, planning life, evaluating past, all of that stuff happens in the frontal lobe. Okay, that's where the conscious stuff is. Very slim, okay, which would presuppose that all the unconscious, habitual, instinctive stuff happening would be in the reptilian brain, in the rest of your brain. Okay, it's a very slim model, but if you need to put it somewhere, like put it there, if you really need to put a location. Problem with that equation, though, is in all the new science. When I say new science, I don't mean woo-woo science. I just mean new science that most people don't know about, even though it will be in our books in a decade from now, if that makes sense. So
it's ancient teachings. It's old age, actually. Anyway.
Yeah. So what's this? Everywhere you measure for intelligence, for consciousness, anywhere you measure in the body, you'll find it. So even from NLP perspective, I could tell you that consciousness cannot be located, because wherever you look for it, it's there. So I can't tell you it's in the brain at all. When I look for it in the brain, I find it. But I can look in my elbow, in any cell of my whole body, and I'll find consciousness. So it's non-local. I think you heard of that term before, non-local, because it can't be localized. So that's where science is now, from the old primitive understanding of, oh, this is conscious, this is unconscious. New scientific discoveries blew up that model completely. And now it's like we are hanging in, because it's like, I prefer when I can, like, you know, physically it's there. Like, this is I can put a boundary on it, it's there. Consciousness is non-local, it can't be localized. And then when we are lacking science to draw you a picture and make it sound logical, physical model, where do you turn? You turn to any spiritual teachings. You go to, because you know how it works, science and spirit, it's supposed to be two separate things, but I think more and more over the last couple of decades, it's just merging into one new understanding. Okay, so leaving science behind, in a way, what is consciousness? Where is consciousness? Or how do we do that? Because your question was around the I. So my awareness, my perception of I, where does that come from? So from scientific side, we go, hey, it's in your conditioning. It's sum total of all your memories, your beliefs and stuff. And that's the unconscious. That's the blueprint. That's the conditioning. Presupposition is that's in your body. We don't say that, but you're led to think that. Because most people think when I say I, they point at themselves and they go, me. That's me. Because they're kind of engraved this understanding from upbringing that they are their body. Are you with me so far? Yes. Mind you, if I sat down and try to teach this in a more functional way, I'll probably do a better job in terms of laying it out in a certain way. I'm just now speaking out of my heart or whatever comes through me. So the idea is that how do we actually have the rest of this conversation without determining who am I?
Oh, exactly.
Who is the I that's asking the question? Because I can tell you about some other science, which I think you know about. There's this scientist, Bruce Lipton, that you guys, my master coaches, know this.
Yes.
He showed us a scientific model that I think that you're asking about is not in your body. We can't have that conversation now. Or we could if I speak.
Come on.
If I speak very fast, we could.
We're fully trance now. We're in trance.
But the thing is that I may not do when I say good enough job, I just mean like I don't do you a favor if I just do it so lightly, if you know what I mean. But hey, maybe as a refresher for some master coaches on the call, and I don't know, just take it as a teaser or something, or take whatever you take from what's about to happen. Even though I don't like doing it this way, it's not, I don't do it justice. You know what I mean? So let's do a crash course. Let's go back. Let's chunk it down. Let's go back to cells, because we did say that in every cell of your body you'll find consciousness if you look for it. Okay. So how do I do this and speak to somebody new here? Anyway, let me pretend I'm talking to Troy, and Troy, you don't know this, so you're hearing this for the first time. I'm just gonna like make you a student. You know?
I don't.
So here's the thing. Dude, you must know this.
No, I do know. I'm just saying I'm pretending.
Oh, thank you. Dude, you're so good. I believe. Okay, so what's this? Where do we start? How do we make this story a shorter one? Okay, so you guys have 5 senses, don't you? Look, to make this easy for my brain, I'm gonna pretend I'm talking to me. You're too trancy for me, dude. You like with you I can just sit and do nothing. So May, put on your mic. I'm gonna pretend I'm just talking to you, because I hallucinate. You don't know this. It's gonna make it easier for me if you just nod occasionally and I speak faster then. Okay. So May, you with me?
Yeah, but I don't know. There's too much noise. There's construction around, so it's too much.
Sorry, mute it. Okay, then just nod. So watch this. You have 5 senses, and if you really think about your 5 senses, where are they located? See, this is where we go science. Like, where are they? Where's your sense of vision or sight? Your eyes, right? They are right there. Notice that they are kind of on your skin, or should I say, they're acting like a bridge between the outside world and your inner world. You have your skin as a boundary of your body, right? And along your skin, there are different organs. We call them 5 senses, really. And your ears are also right there on your skin, leading into the inner world, right? To your brain. Eyes do the same. Where's the smell? Right? We can say in the skin, meaning bridging the outer world outside of me, meaning anything beyond my skin, and then my inner world, anything on the inside. So all my senses are located on my skin. Okay. God, I just look at you. You guys are so tranced out. But okay, that's gonna serve us. So That's where my senses are. What's their job? They're kind of reading the environment and feeding all that information to the brain to tell it about the environment my body is in. That's kind of its primary function. Okay. Now, I don't know if you're aware of the statement "as above, so below." You'll find the same setup working on one simple cell. Any cell of your body has its own skin. We call it membrane. You know, cell is a cell because it has a boundary. What is the boundary? Well, the membrane is the boundary. There's inside the cell, and there is what cell is not, which is anything outside of that boundary. Is that making sense? So the cell has a boundary. It's called membrane. Along that skin of the cell, the membrane, there are not 5 senses like we have. There's billions of those little antennas, we call them. Metaphorically, we say antenna, like your eyes are antenna, picking up this range of frequency. Your ears, antenna, picking up a different range of frequencies, sound, okay? Where cells have billions of different receptors. It has a receptor for this chemical, it has another receptor for this other chemical. So when it comes across that chemical, it triggers that antenna, that sense fires on in a way, and it informs the cell inside, like, hey, in our immediate environment, this thing is here. So if it's toxin, just to chunk it up a bit, if it's toxin, it tells the cell, hey, toxic area, and cell is moving away. It also moves. I don't know if you guys know this, cells move around. So it wants to go away from toxins. And if there's food, if there's some nutrients and things it wants, that antenna goes off, hey, there's this nice thing over here. Cell opens and lets that thing come in. So much like you guys, you find all those principles I ever showed you about life in the world of a human being. You'll find the same principles working for every single cell of your body in its life. Cells also go towards pleasure, towards food, in the growth mode, or they go away from toxins in the closed shelter mode. Same mechanisms are operating. Your cells can do everything you can do as a human being. It also has its own immune system and all sorts of stuff going on inside. So let's look at the cell. On its membrane, long ago, decades ago, this scientist found, and he didn't find it, he talked about it, where scientists before him found this thing and named it already. So he didn't come up with this, okay? All those receptors, they call them, those antennas, they have their names. You know, this one is for this one is for that. And then there is one cell, one receptor that's called self-receptor. Okay, before the scientist I mentioned, they already called it this way. They call it self-receptor. But he's one of those scientists who I think had his own spiritual awakening at some point in time when he was exploring this, because he's the guy, by the way, his authority on cloning cells and shit. He was cloning cells like 40 years ago. Like, if somebody knows about cells, it's this guy, okay? He had his own spiritual awakening back then when he started asking those questions. He says, hey, if this is an antenna, all those are antennas, receptors, reading the environment, frequencies from the outside. Why does every cell of my body has a self-receptor? Now, if you don't know this, if you take a cell from my body, say we take a cell from my liver and put it into your body, do you know what's going to happen? Your body, your immune system will reject that cell and try to get it out of the system. You guys know this. We can try to even give you a whole organ. It will reject it for sure. So when they're doing organ transplants, they're going to kill your immune system and keep it very, very down as much as they can over a period of time for you to heal and for this organ to be accepted. And then it's too late to reject it. Do you know what I mean? That's how organ transplants are being done. They're going to destroy your immune system and keep it very down for a period of time after the implantation, after the transplant. Is it making sense? You know this. I'm trying to give you something that you can relate to, that you already know. So why would my immune system reject your cell? And it's because of this self-receptor. Self-receptor on the cell gives the identity to that cell. That's why the scientists before this guy called it self-receptor. Okay, it carries the identity. So much so that if they take that self receptor and shave it off the surface of the skin of the cell, of the membrane, they take it off. And they take that cell and put it in my body would accept it easily because it doesn't have identity. It's generic cell. May, just nod if you follow me still. I'm kind of just focusing on you now. Okay, so my body would reject any cell that has self-receptor, and all cells have one. But if you shave it off, and you can't do that on a whole organ, I don't think that procedure exists. But on a cell, you can definitely test this. You put it in, it rejects it. You shave off the self-receptor, you put it in, it accepts it. No problem. To make it funnier though, I take your cell, shave off the receptor for self, and take my cell and take my self-receptor and put it on your cell. On your cell, I put my self-receptor, put it back in your body. What do you think happens? Your body would reject your own cell because it's not self. You with me? Okay. Let me see the rest of them. All right. So what's the significance of this? This thing is called self-receptor. But the function of every receptor or a function of every organ, you remember I kind of call those receptors same thing as what you have on your skin, which is your five senses. We call them antennas, receptors, antennas. What's the purpose of any given antenna? The purpose of any given antenna is to receive the signal of that nature. So visual can see only this frequency, call it color spectrum, that your eyes can see. There's many frequencies your eyes are incapable of seeing. Your ears, different antenna, it gets different range of frequencies. You can know it as sound, but even that has a limitations. Dogs' ears can hear a wider range of sound than you can. But the point is that all those senses, all those receptors, all those antennas, their job is to receive the frequency from the outside and communicate it inside. Pass that on to the brain inside, right? So if your cell has, every cell of your whole body, this physical part of your body, every cell of your body has a self-receptor, an antenna that's tuned into a very narrow frequency range, which is the very thing that gives identity to every cell of yours. Then where is you? That was Troy's question, really. Very self, very. I don't think he asked that really. He asked where is conscious and where is unconscious. I kind of went into master coach mode. So it's a really good question. If my cells are receiving signal of self, where is the signal being broadcasted? See, it's not a broadcast. It's an antenna. It receives it. I usually marry this with the TV or radio station setup. You have a radio station, that's the broadcasting station. It sends the signal out. And then you have at your home, miles away, you have your receiver antenna. It receives all those frequencies, but then you have your receiver in the home and you can fine tune it. You can change those channels, remember? And you can listen to this radio station or tune to another radio station. You can do that on any radio receiver. Yeah. So antennas are not identity. Antennas are just antennas. They receive frequency. Your cells, your body receives a very specific frequency, which we can call self, but it's not the broadcast itself. Because you know, you would think, oh, it's in my brain. No, your brain also is made of cells, and all those cells have self-receptors. So where is the frequency coming from? Where's the broadcasting station? It's not in the body, that's for sure. Scientifically, it's not in the body. And yet most of us grew up in this world relating to my body as self and taking very personally everything that happens to this body. So this is a little bit of a spiritual moment for some of you, like, huh? You know, And if you, can I take it further? Is that okay? Is there more room? So
can I jump in at one stage as well?
I like the metaphor of a TV, which is also Bruce's metaphor. He says that, you know, a TV, because it's easy to relate to things you've seen, if you know what I mean, these cells and stuff, but like TV in your home. Oh no, now it's a whole this digital world, but like back in the day, I think we all old enough to remember when we had TV. For it to give you any picture, you had to have antenna. It was usually either in those in-room ones or the one on the roof. You know, do you guys remember those metal antennas or aluminum, whatever, antennas on the roof? And you had to point that thing in a certain direction, didn't you? You pointed at the main tower in your country or whatever, okay? And then you plug that thing at the back of your TV, you plug it in. Now TV is connected to the antenna, okay? What needs to happen for you to have a picture on the screen though? What needs to happen? You still gotta take that tuning thingy and run it to different frequencies until you get channel 1. And then you go, okay, this one's channel 1. Then you switch to another program, another button, and then you tune that one to channel 2, channel 3, or whatever. You know, that was back then usually just government programs. Do you guys remember this time? Or am I that old? Yeah. So here's how this works in terms of the metaphor. You will go, let's say channel 1, TV, and you tune it into channel 1 and it works, and you're having this thing and you're watching it on the TV. That's not the broadcast, that's the receiver, right? What happens if TV dies? You know, back then we actually had a TV that's old enough to die. Now we just change them way more often before they even died because it's a new model. But you guys know what I mean? What happens if TV dies, goes kaput, like it's broken, it's finished? You go to the store, you buy a new TV. You put it usually in the same place, right? You plug in that antenna. You gotta fine tune the channel. You gotta still find the right frequency for the channel 1, and voila, it's back online. If I need to translate that, what the story tells you is that when this body gives in and dies, we say, right? Or gets damaged beyond repair. What if in future there's an embryo that comes to this world with the exact same receptor, self-receptor, we call it. Sounds to me you'd be back online. Because broadcast didn't die, the TV died. I'm just looking at those new ones who I know don't know this story. It's always fun. Okay, so play with that if you will, and to somehow go back to Troy. There's this other idea that all those unique individual frequencies referred to as self in our previous conversation are lower part of a larger whole. And for the lack of other labels, let's call that consciousness, because that was your question at some point, I think. Consciousness. Because from the perspective of science, consciousness can totally be measured in every cell of your body, meaning every cell of your body has consciousness, has awareness of self. Its own point of view, individual point of view, right? Take a cell out of the body, it has mind of its own and reads its environment and makes sense of toxin or food or, you know, how to behave and what to do. But put that cell back in the body, it doesn't use mind of its own. It uses the mind of this organism now. It's part of a larger whole. It uses mind of the organism, and that's your brain in this context. Brain perception of what the world is like outside determines the perception of all your cells in your body. And there's a beauty in that. There's beauty in knowing that you can take cancerous cell, your own cell that's mutated, ill, diseased, take it out of the body and give it ideal conditions, like enough oxygen, enough nutrients, enough room for detox. Do you know what's going to happen with that cell? It will heal. Then doctor says, hey, it's your cell. You obviously have the intelligence to heal yourself. Go back in the body, tell all the other guys. So they put it back in the body. Guess what happens with that cell? It gets ill again. Think of all those cells in your body as how many trillions of them as citizens in your country called Troy. They all live there. But dude, their media, their censorship is brutal comparing to us here. There's one government for all of them and one vote for all of them. Whatever the brain is thinking, whatever the brain is experiencing, perceiving as real, that's the only reality all those cells get to share. You could be living in a spa environment, which for me is a ideal environment. You could be living in a beautiful nature habitat, amazing stuff. But if in your brain there's this thinking of there's some ninjas that are going to jump out and kill you, or your life is in danger, which is something zebra can't do, but human can. We live in the genuine stress mode just because brain is in that place, regardless of what's actually in the environment. Your cells don't know the difference between your imaginary thoughts, between your fantasizing stuff, or what's really happening outside. No clue. And there's magic in knowing that. Because it equally says that even if you are in a most horrible environment, really outside, if you could get your brain to create a different perception inside, then all your cells would act accordingly and be in the growth mode regardless of your actual environment. That's why we do awaken heart stuff. That's why I do any of those meditative things, because you're practicing your ability to become, to be bigger than your environment. Because it literally says no matter what environment is really around me, when I do this, while I'm doing this, whole body goes in the growth mode. And in that moment, I'm bigger than my environment. So Troy, back to bigger picture. One statement kind of marries it for me without me going explaining it now at this hour. It's maybe actually nice to leave you with this thought, just to play with it. It goes like this. And you heard me say this before, maybe even in my emails. When the God inside of you recognizes itself as the God inside of me, then you got it.
Got it.
And I feel like whatever I say now, we will just take away from it. So perhaps we pick this conversation up on another call.
Yes, please.
You guys good?
Thank you, Robert.
God bless. God bless.
And yeah, so good to see you, buddy. I'm really, in strange ways, connected with you. So I'm looking forward for this feeling to be normal, having you around. It's kind of, I'm aware you're there. So stay in this conversation, I guess, is the message.
I'm here. I'm here.
All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Looking forward to staying in touch in between. And yeah, more emails coming your way. Ciao.
Bye-bye.